The dating advice you've been given is solving the wrong problem. Everyone is teaching women how to be more attractive, better texting strategies, more mysterious, less available, softer, more confident, know your worth, hear your attachment style, do the inner work, be the prize. And look, some of that isn't necessarily wrong, but this is what nobody is saying out loud, okay? You could become the most emotionally available, securely attached, radiant version of yourself and still spend the next 3 years swiping through the same rotating cast of emotionally unavailable men. Rough. I know. I get it, okay? And that's because the dating advice industry is obsessed with optimizing you while completely ignoring the ecosystem you're operating in. And sometimes the ecosystem is the problem. There's a principle in behavioral science that most self-help completely glosses over, okay? Behavior is a downstream of the environment that you're in, okay? The space you're in determines what's possible in that space. You don't transcend your environment through personal development alone, sadly, okay? You change your outcomes by changing your context. So if you've been doing the work, the therapy, the journaling, the nervous system regulation, the whole thing, and you're still not meeting the men who match where you are, probably not you, it's the room. Okay, so here are 4 things you can start doing immediately to increase the caliber of potential partners that are around you. The first 2 are really, really tactical. And the last 2 are the reason the first 2 aren't enough for on their own. Okay. And honestly, they're the most important half of the conversation. So stick around. By the way, I'm Cody. I've got a degree in cognitive neuroscience. I'm trained in trauma therapy called internal family systems, and I study this stuff for a living. Over 1 million women trust me to help them navigate breakups and heartbreak to prepare them for modern dating, because I say the hard things, but I do it with love and I do it with science. And a quick note before we start. Everything I'm about to say applies equally to men trying to find high caliber women. The principles are the same. A woman asked me this question in my DMs on Instagram, so I'm going to write and think about this through that lens. Okay, so men, adjust accordingly. The logic holds. Okay, let's dive in here. Okay, number 1, the first thing you got to do is stop swimming in dopamine pools. This one should make you a little bit angry, okay, when you hear this. Dating apps are not matchmaking services. Surprise, surprise, okay? They are attention economies. The business model is engagement, not outcomes. And those 2 things are just not the same. Okay. In fact, they are often in direct opposition, unfortunately. Okay. A product that successfully matched you with a long-term partner would lose paying customers. Okay. A product that kept you perpetually hopeful, occasionally rewarded, and mildly addicted to the next swipe, though, that's a retention strategy. Okay. That works. Okay. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's neuroscience baked into product design. Variable reward schedules. The same mechanism that makes slot machines hard to walk away from are intentionally woven into the swiping experience. Okay. You already know this, which is why it doesn't feel good, even when it's technically working. Okay. You're getting matches, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Here's the part that matters more than the apps themselves. Okay. The psychological profile of someone who thrives in an attention economy is not the psychological profile of someone you want a relationship with generally. Okay. Dopamine pools filter for dopamine seekers. Okay. This is not rocket science. Okay. Environments built on instant gratification, easy validation, and low commitment interactions don't just attract those people. Okay. They select for them the same way a bar selects for people who like bars. Okay. Concerts select for people who like concerts and going out. Okay. The primary currency of a space is attention. You're going to keep meeting men who are optimizing for attention. Okay. Again, this is not rocket science. Okay. The men you're frustrated by are anomalies. They are the natural output of the environment you're fishing in. You don't have to swear all of this off, but you've got to understand if you're spending the majority of your romantic energy in quick hit environments and wondering why you keep meeting quick hit men, this is not bad luck. It's math. Okay. Number 2, actually defining high caliber. This is something that literally nobody actually answers before they go looking for high caliber men or partners. Okay. What does high caliber even mean to you? Not society, not your family and friends, you specifically, not aspirationally, not in theory, like concretely. What are the actual qualities, values, and the ways of moving through the world that you're filtering for when you say this? Because if the answer is some version of, oh, I just want someone good, or, oh, I'll know it when I see it, that's not a filter. It's a wish. Okay. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine, one of the most powerful ever created. When you give it vague inputs, it generates vague outputs. When you give it precise criteria, it starts noticing things that walked right past it before. Okay. This isn't woo-woo. Okay. This is how your reticular activating system actually works. Your brain filters conscious awareness based on what you've primed it to look for. Vague intention produces vague perception. So get specific, uncomfortably specific. Okay. Do you mean financially disciplined or just high earning? Those are genuinely different men in genuinely different rooms. Emotionally available or emotionally expressive, also different. Ambitious in a career driven way, or in a building something that matters way? Are they spiritually grounded in a structured sense or contemplative and philosophical? Okay, once you get that specific, something almost irritatingly obvious happens. You know exactly where to look. The financially disciplined, long-term thinking man isn't at a rooftop bar on a Friday. He's in the investment club, the entrepreneur conference, the mastermind where people take their goals seriously. The physically disciplined, high-standard man isn't at the gym taking selfies. He's at the 6 a.m. class, the endurance race, the competitive environment where people show up even when they don't feel like it. You don't manifest better partners, you change rooms, okay? You can't change rooms until you know which room you're actually looking for, okay? So the first two shifts are about external environment and where to look and what you're filtering for, essentially. But here's what I've noticed when I've been working with women on this, right? You can nail both of those and still hit a ceiling. What up? Interrupting our normal programming to announce Mind Brain Body Lab's first sponsor, Apollo Neuro. This tool I have been using for years and I recommend it to all of my clients. Apollo is the only wearable that trains your nervous system to bounce back from stress naturally without pills. Okay, if you fall asleep fast but wake up at 2 a.m. with your mind racing, like I do sometimes, did last night even, or your wearable, like Whoop, Apple Watch, or whatever, is telling you that you're stressed without actually helping you, this is for you. Apollo doesn't just track your stress and sleep. It acts and is built on a decade of neuroscience research. It learns your stress patterns, calms your nervous system in real time, and helps you stay asleep using subtle vibrations. Users get up to 60 extra minutes of sleep a night, plus 40% less stress and 25% better focus. Apollo was just featured in Forbes for their vagus nerve science, and they just published a randomized pilot study suggesting it's the first wearable that helps prevent burnout. Mind Brain Body Lab subscribers get $99 off. Just hit the link in the description to grab yours. Let's dive back in. Okay. The next two things we're going to talk about are the reasons that some women walk into rooms and leave empty-handed and why others seem to effortlessly attract exactly who they're looking for. Okay. The first one that we're going to hit on is kind of counterintuitive, might get some shade for it, but has the highest success rate at getting you around high quality potential partners. So I'm not going to stop preaching about it. Okay. Because number 3 is the most underrated dating strategy is literally not dating. Okay. I know I'm going to get some pushback. It's fine. I don't care. I've seen this work. You got to stop trying to convert every attractive, high caliber man into a romantic prospect. Not because you shouldn't want that, but because the hunting posture closes doors that the friendship posture opens wide. Okay. I want to offer you a perspective that you can only really get from a man. Okay. We know when we're being hunted. It's not always conscious, but we feel it. There's a subtle shift in energy when a woman has already decided she's interested and now performing for the outcome she wants. It creates a particular kind of pressure that makes genuine connection harder, not easier, even when we are also attracted, which is kind of wild. Okay. The friendships you build with high caliber men, on the other hand, give you access to something that most women never get, the unperformed version of us. There's a concept in network neuroscience called weak tie theory, developed by sociologist Dr. Mark. Your close relationships are informationally redundant. Okay. You know the same people and move in the same circles. Your weak ties, though, the people adjacent to your world, are where genuinely new doors exist. Okay. High caliber men cluster. They refer each other, collaborate, and spend time in the same rooms. A genuine friendship with one is a quiet introduction to a network you didn't have access to before. But the network access is almost secondary to this. Okay. When you're not in pursuit mode, you're in observation mode. That's the more important bit. You see how a man talks about women when there's nothing to perform for you, right? You find out faster whether the man who seems irrelevant in public is the same man in private. And I can tell you from the inside, those two people are not always the same person, right? You see his consistency across context and over time. That information is nearly impossible to collect when every interaction is loaded with romantic stakes. Genuine opposite sex friendships are one of the most underutilized tools in this entire conversation, if you ask me. More access, better discernment, and lower standards are required, okay? And last but not least, this is the part that matters the freaking most, okay? The room will not fix what you carry into it, okay? That is number 4. This is the hardest one to hear, so I saved it for last. You can change your environment. You can define your criteria with surgical precision. You can build better friendships and stop wasting time in dopamine loops. All of this is real and all of it will help. But if you walk into those better rooms carrying a quiet internal belief that you don't quite belong there, your nervous system will broadcast it before you say a single word, okay? Here's what that looks like from where I'm standing as a man who's watched this dynamic play out more times than I can freaking count, okay? It's not loud, it's subtle, okay? It's the woman who's slightly too eager to demonstrate her value, over-explains her accomplishments to people who didn't ask, who laughs a little too hard, agrees a little too readily, and gives a little bit too much in the first conversation. It looks like performing belonging rather than inhabiting it, okay? And the men with the highest caliber, the ones you're trying to meet, are often the most attuned to this exact signal. Not because they're cruel or elitist, but because they've been around enough people to optimizing for success and approval that genuine ease is remarkable by contrast. Okay. The women who walks into the room already settled in herself, who isn't auditioning, who seems genuinely unbothered about whether she's impressive enough, she stands out in a way that no strategy can just manufacture. So here's the question worth sitting with. And I really mean sitting with this. What part of you feels intimidated by the kind of man that you're trying to be with, the one that you say you want, the rooms you want to be in? Okay. The answer to this question will honestly change your entire freaking life, because there's usually a part of you that learned something somewhere. Maybe love was conditional, or that safety had to be earned, or that belonging required performance. Okay. In IFS terms, this is a protective part doing its job that it was assigned so long ago, it's in a different environment now. It just doesn't know that. Okay. So this is not a character flaw. It's an adaptation. The problem is that adaptations don't auto update just because you've grown. Okay. This is where the actual inner work lives, not in becoming more attractive in the abstract, but in genuinely updating the internal story about whether you belong in the rooms you're trying to enter. Okay. You don't rise into better environments. You regulate and heal into them. When your nervous system is regulated and you're not scanning for rejection or running the am I enough calculation in the background, you show up differently. Okay. You take up space without apology. You're curious instead of anxious. You're choosing instead of hoping to be chosen. Okay. And when you genuinely believe that you belong there, you stop chasing high caliber and you become it. Okay. Watch all of this and you might feel like this is a lot. I totally get it. Okay. But it distills down into something really, really simple. Most women I work with are trying to solve a positioning problem with a personal development solution. Okay. They keep working on themselves in a vacuum, hoping the universe will eventually reward the effort with a better match. But they stay in the same environments, running the same vague filters, carrying the same unexamined assumptions about what they deserve. The science does not support this approach. Okay. Environment shapes behaviors. Being specific creates better navigation for your brain. Network access multiplies the options that you have. And a nervous system regulation is the foundation on which all of this sits. Better rooms exist. High caliber men are already somewhere living their lives, showing up in specific places, moving in specific circles, surrounded by people who match their standards. The only question is whether you're positioning yourself to actually intersect with them, and whether you believe you belong there when you do. Okay. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Do it now so you never miss a video. And if you want to go deeper on this kind of topics like this, you'd love my Substack. Check it out in the description below. All right. You've got this. I believe in you. Peace.